Hi, my name is Stephanie Wiscott, homeschool mama of three and homesteader of the Natura Chick Homestead, and I am joined by my daughter, Riley.
And we are bringing you the ups and downs of homeschooling on the homestead with families like yours.
Hello, and thank you for joining us on Homeschooling on the Homestead. Today, we interviewed Laura Brown. She was fantastic to talk to. She's from Canada and actually originally from Germany. So it was really neat to talk to her and hear her little European flair to homeschooling on the homestead. And then we talked to her daughter, Emma.
She was really fun to talk to, and she's so adorable.
So this was a great episode. We're going to dive right in. We are so excited to have Laura with us today from Hidden River Acres, all the way in Canada. So that's really fun for Riley and I to talk to somebody out of our country here in the New Jersey, the United States here. So Laura, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, I'm really excited to be here. Thank you guys.
Yeah, we're going to have so much fun talking. Now I'm going to talk to Miss Laura. You want to say hi real quick, Rye?
Hi.
And we're
Hi,
going to
Riley.
bring on Laura's daughter to talk to Riley a little bit later, but we're going to chit chat first with Laura. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. So Laura, let's go ahead and jump right in. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're located, a little bit about your homeschooling journey and your homestead?
Absolutely. So we are located in Canada. So most of you might know of Alberta. We're just about 45 minutes, I would say northwest, 45 minutes of Edmonton, actually. Most of you might know that place. We are just 3 years, I would say, into our little homestead adventure. 3, maybe 4 years. Time runs so fast.
Yeah.
So we bought our acreage. We are on 15 acres out here. We bought it in 2019. I was just pregnant with my second child. And we had bought a house in town because we had originally hoped to find an acreage, but just couldn't make it work money-wise, being a young family. And kept looking and kept looking, and this popped up, and I swear it popped up, and 2 days later we signed on it. It was a very fast thing. It was sort of that once in a million kind of opportunity. So we have 15 acres. It is raw land, so there's nothing to it. It was sort of subdivided from the original homestead for their son. They had originally taken it off, and he was going to move out here, and that all fell through. So it's 6 acres of open farmland and then 9 acres of just deep, deep bush. So it's a little bit hard getting things established out here. I never know if it would have been better to purchase something maybe with some things already established or starting brand new. That's always the big question. But yes, we have 3 kids by now. Our oldest is 6, and then we have a 4-year-old, and my youngest just turned a year. And so we are just brand new to homeschooling, actually. We've just finished our first year of kindergarten, which has had its ups and its downs. We're trying. But that's basically us.
That's neat. So have you always lived in Canada and your husband as well?
So my husband is Canadian. He actually is just from about 15 minutes. He was born here, raised here, 15 minutes away from our little homestead here. So all his family lives close by, which is wonderful. I was born and raised until about 13, actually, in Germany. So some people confuse my Canadian accent with a little bit of German accent in there and get confused. But my parents actually, we moved into, somehow I'm not sure, because the town that my husband was raised in, then we ended up landing in, is not very big, but that's where we ended up. And then my parents actually live about 5 to 10 minutes just south of us. So it's very close. We all kind of stuck close by, thankfully.
Oh, it's so nice having family. I don't know how people do it without it. I have both
I really
my
don't.
kids as well. It's a game changer.
100%. And for us, especially, we are building our own home right now. And my dad is doing all of the grunt work. So he was actually back in Germany, a master carpenter. So they learn how to draw blueprints and stuff like that, and architecture. That's sort of all into their schooling integrated. And so he drew our blueprints. This is our 3rd year since we've been 3 years out here, our 3rd summer of building this home. Actually, we're still not in it. Maybe next year. But my dad and I did all the foundation. We did the basement walls. We framed the entire house. We have a roof on. So we had lots of friends come out to help us with the roof and such. So it's very important for us to have family close by. It's a lot of help.
Wow, that's amazing. That was part of his schooling, like just general education. He learned all that.
So yeah, so back in Germany, like I don't want to say back in the day because well, he's not that old, but old enough. They actually, if anybody wanted to open up a company, like or a trade school, so butchers, anything like that, they had to complete like a master's program in what they wanted to open up their trade into. So for any business to open up, they actually had to have a master's in it. So it's not very often that you hear, I find around here anyways, that you have a master butcher or a master carpenter, but he's very proud of his titles. So he keeps up with it and we try to announce it.
I love that. That is so neat. And how cool that he has that education to give to your children as well.
Absolutely. The kids love it. And it's very like, it's very old school. And I find we don't have a lot of old school trades anymore. And he's so proud of it. Like for him, the way he learned how to draw blueprints was with a pen. Like there was never any pencil or anything like that. So you really learned, and, there was no erasing and things like that. So it's neat. Like there's a lot of process and thought behind everything that he does, which is nice to learn because I find today everything is so fast paced that we don't really pay attention to that anymore.
Oh, for sure. That is so true. Now, did you
Yeah.
have a homestead with your family in Germany or when you moved here, or is this something your husband and you decided on?
So I would say, I don't know if we had a homestead in Germany. We did live outside of the city, which you also don't see a whole lot. I know Europe is so tightly closed and that, but we had probably, I would say about 10 acres or so in Germany. And my mom had ducks and she had chickens. And we did have sheep for a little bit, but it didn't work out because they'd always escape. And my dad loves horses. So, of course, he got me into it. And so we've always had horses. So we had, a few animals, but I think the homesteading came sort of maybe from Germany, like in Europe, it's very different, as in, and maybe it's changed today's too. Maybe it's the times that have changed, but we have butcher stores in almost every corner. There's fresh bakeries in every corner. We used to go, our family trip was down to Bavaria, so just into southern Germany. It was about a 6-hour trip, and that's basically almost all the way across the country. And we'd always go to a friend's family farm, so they had like dairy cows, so it was raw milk, and they'd butcher their pigs. We'd go out there, so I think we were sort of introduced into that lifestyle there. I can't say that my parents, we butchered some chickens and stuff like that, but other than that, homesteading wasn't really a big part of life. My husband is absolutely brand new to it. I don't know whether he loves or hates it yet. But he was raised a typical Canadian boy, I'd like to say, in town. Hockey was his life, basically. So he was busy every day doing that with his parents. And so I think we're one of like the only ones in his family really living on an acreage and things like that. So it's a bit new to him still.
Yeah, that's neat. I actually lived in Italy for
Wow.
when I was in college, and I can relate and understand what you're saying. Everything was so fresh, and we went to the store every day. I mean, we were in the city, but it was everywhere, like just fresh food, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
I loved it. I mean, the best food I've ever eaten right then and there. So I can
absolutely.
kind of picture what you're talking about. And in the US, at least, and I'm assuming Canada is very similar. It's just everything's processed, everything's made. You get a bunch of it in bulk. And so it's different. It's definitely a different lifestyle where it seems so normal life, kind of that
Yeah,
homesteading aspect. And here it's becoming more of a thing, which is beautiful back here
great.
at home, that people are starting to can their own tomatoes and make their own jams again. So it
Yeah.
is good to see, but
It's wonderful. I remember my mom, when we first moved here, she went to the grocery store for the first time and she came home with an empty cart because she didn't know what to buy. She said all the food was just so colorful and vibrant, and there was so much of it. She was so overwhelmed by it that she was like, I'm not sure how to cook with any of this. She's like, the cheese is bright orange and the bread, just there was so much of it. It's just not something. And we weren't like, I wouldn't say farmers market shoppers, but we go into the next town and, you'd go almost every second morning and get fresh buns, if she wasn't baking and stuff like that. So that was very hard. Like for me now, I go to Costco, I do a once a month run. Even that's strange because you freeze so much, right? But we also try to grow a little bit and make our own. So yeah,
I
it's
love
an
it.
experience. It's a big change.
Yeah, well, you have little kiddos too, so that's neat. It's in your blood. It's just ready to come out now. So
I
that's
think
fantastic.
so. Yeah, I think so. My parents have always been very old school and enjoy that sort of lifestyle. So I think it was kind of, but I think it was also, I was about 6 years old when we moved out into the country. Before that, we lived in Berlin. And so I think that really sort of taught us just being out there, not even homesteading, but just being out in the country and being in touch with it. My brother is about 6 years older than I am. And so he was raised inner city and he does not enjoy animals. Like he does not. It's day and night for all of us. Like he loves his city. He likes to do his shopping and stuff like that. And I don't think he'll ever own an animal at all. So it's funny to see how different things are just from those few years of difference of being raised inner city to country life, I think.
Yeah. Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So tell us, what animals do you have at the house right now on the property?
So right now we actually have about 60 meat birds. They're outside. We're getting ready to butcher those tomorrow. This is our second year of meat birds. So last year I didn't do very good. They didn't become very big and I was a little frustrated, but I also went very much of what I call the hippie route. I wanted them to be on fresh grass. I didn't want to feed them too much grain and
Okay.
they just don't grow as fast if they're not on grain. So
No,
this
yeah,
year
they're
I'm
bred a
hoping
little
for better
different.
results.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
bred a little different. So you kind of have to do more green. Fresh
I
grass
think
is
so
always
too.
good though.
Yeah, like they're still outside and running around, but I last year we raised them for almost 14 weeks. So it's almost like a waste of time. Like it was, because I was waiting for them to just catch up, but they wouldn't at that point. So I'm hoping for better results this year. We have two random goats that we accumulated at an auction. We really wanted to get goats because we have super thick bush out there and we just wanted them to sort of eat up the brush and all of that.
Yeah.
But two goats just can't keep up. It's like you get one spot nice and clean and you move them to the next and that one grows back. And so yeah, these are just two like little pet goats that we're trying. And then we have laying hens and we have bees. So this is my third year of beekeeping. So that's been fun. And we took a break of keeping pigs this year just because we had a lot of pigs last year and our freezers are still full. So not this year, but yeah, that is us for now.
That's awesome. I also have bees. I think they are my favorite on the homestead because I just find them so fascinating. I
I was
didn't
gonna
harvest
say,
last year. This is my second year. I had one hive, couldn't
yeah.
harvest queen. It was a mess.
Oh
Second
no.
year, all three of them are thriving. And I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I'm fascinated. You see God in that so easily, and I just love it. Did you
Absolutely.
harvest?
What's that?
Have you harvested your honey in the last
A
couple of?
little bit. So it's my third year beekeeping. The first year, unfortunately, in the winter, I lost mine. And so now I'm working with a mentor a little bit, but I had a crazy allergic reaction, which I'm not sure if it was to the bees because I've been stung so many times before. But so I've been a little bit careful. But we harvested about 2 frames, but I have like a lot of frames that haven't been fully capped yet. So I'm gonna go back and give them a little bit more time. But they're such fascinating. When they're good, they're good. They're wonderful creatures, but they can go bad really fast, is what I
Oh, yeah.
find. So they keep you on your toes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just love them. But I agree. That one year, I was devastated that first year. I have a mentor. I went through the course, did the whole thing.
Yeah.
We got the beetles in there and they just destroyed
Oh,
everything. And he's like, "Oh, well, you have to throw all those frames away." I was like, "What?
oh no.
I just spent $100." Like,
It's
just
not
throw
a
it
cheap
away.
hobby to start.
That is a key. It is not cheap.
No, that was my mentor. He kept, I mean, I by myself, I tried to do the YouTube and then I sort of like went into a lot of Facebook groups because I find so many people always post their questions and issues that I find I learn from reading them when people reply and stuff like that. And so I didn't have as much equipment as he stacked boxes on boxes on box. I would always wait until, the perfect 80%, they're full, add my next one and next. And he would just add and add it every day. He's like, I need a new box. I need a new box. And I'm like, okay, here we go, off to the store. Oh, but this year, at least we had stuff. About 2 years ago, I think when I started, you couldn't find anything. Even the beekeeping supplies were gone. I don't know if everyone got into it or it was just that supply and demand. I'm not sure what happened, but
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm lucky. My mentor sells all this stuff. He actually harvests queens. So then he sells
Oh,
the queen.
wow.
So it's fascinating. I mean, he is just so knowledgeable. And
That's
I'm like, I
wonderful.
text him anytime. I'm like, this is happening. Is that normal? He's like, yeah, that's good. Or I'll come right over.
Please
So
help me. I know
he's
the
been,
struggle.
he
The
has.
struggle is real with bees.
Yeah. So that's so fun though. So you're got your freezer full with the pork. You've got the laying
Yes.
hens, the meat birds, the bees
Mhm.
going, your goats, pets, or helping either
Yeah, we're
way.
not sure there yet where that's gonna go.
That's awesome. What about gardening? Do you have a decent garden going, or is that something that's later?
I I do have a garden going. I didn't do much with it this year, just because my daughter just turned 1, and with the house, I knew we weren't gonna do too much. So I'm just trying to get it a bit more established because we started just in the middle of a field, like a farm field. We had so many thistles and just grass growing through. So I actually started this year because I don't want to pull weeds. Nobody does, I don't think. So I started doing clover as actually a cover ground. So I'm just working on establishing that. I still have my raspberries and strawberries in there, you know, the things that are going to kind of stick around for a few years. I put my energy into that, and garlic because everyone loves garlic and that's easy to grow. I find it so easy to grow.
I've never
Um,
had luck. So
no,
you'll
oh
have to send me your
no.
secret. No, not yet. Next year's the year.
Next year is the year redemption. That was me for meat birds this year. This is my redemption. Next year we'll get you going. So yeah, it's a big garden, but I didn't do, like I said, just I kind of tried to get it established and going. So then hopefully next year we can do a little bit more. So not a whole lot going on. And in this tiny little space that we're currently living in while getting the house built, there's not a lot of room for canning and stuff like that. So hopefully in the next few years I can learn a little bit more and get an actual kitchen, you know, going and stuff like that. But actually Mike's grandma, so my husband's grandma, loves to can, and she's only about 10 minutes from us, so she's doing a lot of canning this year. And I think we're going to go over there this week and she'll teach me a few things again because I haven't dabbled really into canning a whole lot at all.
Oh, you're gonna love it. It's very addicting. You're like, what else can I do? But Melissa K. Norris is a great resource. Go
Okay,
check her out for different
yeah,
canning.
I'll have to look at that.
Yeah.
It's kind of intimidating a little bit. I always worry. I have an instant pot, and every time that thing turns off, I just double and triple check to make sure the valve is down. I just don't want to blow anything up.
Yeah.
That's my
Well,
biggest worry in it all.
start with water bath. That's
Yes, water bath, I think I can handle. I've done a few things like jam or something, you know, that you can do, but anything further than that, we'll
yeah.
have to dabble slowly into that.
Oh, well, that's awesome. Let's switch gears just a little bit. I want to hear more about homeschooling. So it was your
Absolutely.
first year. So exciting.
Yes.
Is this something that you and your husband planned on for a long time? Was it just this past year you decided? How did
This
that?
was not something I ever planned on.
Okay.
I always looked forward to the day that my daughter was going to start first grade. And I was going to put my feet up as a stay at home mom, and I was going to eat a chocolate cake and celebrate her first day of school. That's always what I said to everyone. And then COVID hit, you know, the good joys of everything. And I feel like everyone sort of dabbled into homeschool because they had to, because everyone was staying at home. And I have a good friend close by who also said she would never ever homeschool. She'll deal with the COVID homeschool and that's it. And then she got convinced. Like she had her kids in private school close by, which we don't have a lot of private schools. Coming from Europe, private schools are everywhere. You know, you can sort of almost dictate what kind of education you want your kids to have. And she spent a lot of money sending these kids into private school and really wasn't getting a whole lot out of it. She said after a couple months of teaching her own kids, she saw much more improvement in them and a lot more joy within just 1 or 2 hours of her teaching her kids instead of being stuck in school for 7 to 8 hours. So I sort of contemplated then and there, you know, going back and forth with Mike if this is really something we wanted to do. And then kindergarten came, and I also wasn't really ready to send my daughter for twice or 3 days a week, whatever it is, for 8 hours a day to school. I wasn't really ready to let go of that yet. So yeah, it came out of nowhere, but so far it's been working really great.
That's beautiful. Wow, that's great. They give you that option. We're full day. every day, kindergarten
Yeah,
here.
that's a
Even
lot.
actually, it starts at 3 years old now.
That's so much for their little brains, and when I moved, I mean, I was in grade 8 when I moved here from Germany. So it was still a big shock because classes were so long. I can't remember. I can't remember exactly how long they are in Germany, but I know it wasn't 45 minutes to an hour because I remember sitting there those last 15 minutes and they would just go on and on and on. And nobody was really paying attention at that point anymore. But even I believe it's from grade 1 to grade 4 in Germany. You start at about 8:30 in the morning and you finish at 12.
Oh,
So you only go for 4 hours a day. So I think that's still a bit acceptable for little brains. Like that's something they can handle, but I couldn't imagine those full days, the exhaustion of those little kids to go all day and yeah, be away from family and such is a struggle too, I find.
oh, it is a long day. I was a public school teacher, actually.
Oh,
It's my
interesting.
background. Yes. So
Okay.
the last year, I was fourth and fifth grade for 8 years. And then
Mhm.
the last year, they moved me to kindergarten. And I just went to the playground, honestly, every day for the last
Good
hour.
for you.
Like, I'm done. You're done. Go out and
We're
play.
not getting anything accomplished. Let's go play. I
It was
know.
so hard. And after that, I was like, I can't do this anymore. My kids were so young. I was like, I miss them. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you miss
that's
out on so much. I mean, here mostly the school's done like at 3 in the afternoon. Then you pick them up. You have a little bit of a drive, in Canada. Like if you're out of, you know, the town a little bit, you do the driving, you're home by 4, then you still have homework an hour, then you have supper. Like I don't know
a
where
lot.
there's the time for them to be a kid anymore, really. That's exhausting. It's
It
exhausting for me to think about.
So how did your first year go? What did you think of it? What curriculum did you use? How'd you feel?
It was good. It was a lot because my daughter and I are I don't know if I want to say we're alike or maybe not alike, but we crash a lot. There's a lot of attitude in my firstborn. Everyone told me my firstborn would be easy, and it's the secondborn I was going to struggle with, but my firstborn is the intense one. So it was good. We did the curriculum, the good and the beautiful, we ended up going with, and it's wonderful. I love the curriculum. It's so easy to follow. Um, but we had a few learning curves here and there because at first I wasn't going to follow a curriculum because I figured, kindergarten, how hard can it be? And then we started the alphabet and we realized how hard it can be. And then we followed the curriculum and it was so easy. It was wonderful. And then, I have a 4-year-old. So I wasn't really sure how I was going to do it with him by my side at all times, but he sort of just sits along and he'll draw or he absorbs it. I mean, he knows the alphabet now at 4 years old, which I've never even tried to teach him, but he just hangs out and, he likes to do everything with his sisters, even though he wants to fight them all the time too. But no, he really enjoys hanging out. And it's sort of like I'm teaching a 2-for-1 deal with both of them.
That's awesome. And what about the baby? What did you do with the baby?
So my youngest one, she just turned a year. So she still naps a lot, which is nice. She still naps for an hour in the morning. She has a good 3-hour stretch nap at, lunchtime. So that's sort of where I try to integrate that. I don't do a whole lot of I don't spend time prepping a whole lot. I kind of just go with the curriculum. For the little guy, I'll print off worksheets if he's not really there at that level yet. So he can, learn how to spell or learn how to do little things like that, or his numbers counting, something fun. And I try to just really do it when she naps an hour. And I find that's long enough for their little brains. My kids are very much outdoor kids, especially in the summer in Canada. We have to take advantage of it before we get 6 months of winter. So they're outside a lot. So I find like an hour is max. We get in what we can get in, and otherwise we just hang out. And they have so many other skills to learn, I find, outside, not just schoolwork. And I feel like in kindergarten, grade 1, that is still very much acceptable to not just do schoolwork for hours upon hours.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's more than enough than what you're doing. And for the people that don't know the good and the beautiful, it is pretty much an open and go curriculum, which makes things really easy too. Like you said, not a lot of prep, just open it up. Let's do a couple
Yeah.
things. The reading I, I guess it was Riley was in kindergarten, maybe that I used that program as well for a little bit. And it's good and it's beautiful.
It really is. And I love the illustrations in it. It's very much nature based and very easy and simple and kid friendly. And like I said, very adult friendly. Like so far, I haven't done any more extra work outside of it. I just kind of open it up and go with the flow, and it's been wonderful so far. So I hope it continues on. We're actually going to try a program that we have in town. My daughter is very much of the social butterflies, so all her friends, we don't really have any other friends except for, the one that helped me sort of get started, but anyone else really goes to school and this is what we do, so she hears about going to school and going to play on the park and going to interact. And so there's a program in the next town where they actually go twice a week to school. They'll go full days and they teach them social and science, I believe it is. And then we get the other 3 days. They stay home with us and we do, like English, math, anything else. So we're going to kind of dabble into that next year. And it's kind of neat because they actually offer the good and the beautiful program with them.
Okay.
So it's sort of part of their program. They order it in. And then for us at home, we get to teach that. So
Yeah.
I'm not really ready for it either, for her to be gone twice a week, but I think it'll be good for her. She really wants to try it. And I always said, if my kids want to ask, or if my kids want to go and ask me to go to school, I'll be open about it, and I'll give it a chance. And so she's really excited about it. I think she's going to love being a social butterfly for twice a week. And then I still feel like she gets to be home a bit more than the full time with being at home 3 days a week. And everyone sort of gets their little ways of doing things that way.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a drop off, more of a hybrid program, I guess you could.
Correct. Yeah. And it seems to be filling up quite a bit over the last couple of years. Like there was a wait list actually for it because I didn't even consider it. So we were waitlisted for a little bit. So I think it's becoming quite a popular program because it's sort of that happy in between for most parents.
Yeah, absolutely. Hybrid is a popular program. So, well, that's interesting to see. And I love with homeschooling, you can kind of play with that. You're not committed forever to it.
Exactly.
Maybe you'll have to finish the year, but if it doesn't work best for your family, you can always revisit it. So that's really nice.
That's what I think too. Give it a chance, see if she likes it. And if she doesn't, we can always go back to, full-time homeschooling.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. So one of the things when I've been interviewing the families is combining the two. I want to encourage the listeners that homeschooling and homesteading actually go really well together. I know for me personally, they look at me like I'm crazy and how do I possibly fit it all in to homeschool my kids, care for the animals, do the property, all of that kind of thing. But I don't know how sometimes to express to them. That's why the podcast is here, to show them and explain to them that homeschooling and homesteading go together because the children are working with me. They're learning about the animals. They're doing all of these things together. And like you said, the schooling's not as long because it's not 8 hours of sitting down and reading and writing. But what benefits have you seen by doing both together?
Well, I never really thought about it a whole lot, but you are right. People always think homeschooling. I think when people think of homeschooling, they think we sit there for 8 hours a day and we do subject after subject after subject, which obviously we don't do, and I don't do, hey, 8 o'clock, this is our homeschooling time. I'm not, like scheduled like that either, but they just learn, like from simple things like counting eggs and grabbing eggs and learning that this is what we do. We have to care for the animals, simple things like baking, I mean, that's one of the first things I was taught, really. My mom always baked. So at 6 years old, I was baking cakes on my own, like following recipes, things like that, learning that there's a schedule to go outside, feed the animals, how things work. I think it's just, and that's one of the things people always ask me is how do you get it all done with the kids? But I don't have kids. And I think maybe it's just because we started so young. I don't have kids that complain about doing it. For them, it's natural. Like, hey, we're tagging along. We're going to move those meat birds and we hold, the door closed while mom hooks it up and we do that. It's part of their life now. And I don't know. I always say, I don't know how people do it that don't have all the animals, because personally, I mean, I love my kids and I love watching them play, but I don't want to sit out there in a chair and watch them play for 6 hours on their play structure. I mean, it's fun and I love watching them, but like this is something for me to keep busy, and they sort of tag along and we all do it together instead of me sitting there and watching them swing for the 15th hour in a row is what I find. So for me, homeschooling and homesteading, we all enjoy the animals, raising the animals, seeing the benefits of them. We hatch our own little chicks and stuff like that. So it's always fun to sort of teach the kids just alongside with it. I don't find it's any extra work really for me. Or maybe it's because really we don't know any different at this point. We've been so into it that we don't really know the other side of life anymore.
No, that's really good. I think for families maybe that are considering this and already have been going to school, or they haven't had the homestead, they have to have that period of deschooling where they just kind of forget all of because like I pictured when you were talking too, kind of putting them in two separate boxes, like homeschooling, homesteading, but they're together in one box the way you're expressing it. And that's how our house is too. We do our tours first with the animals, then we can sit in and read. And sometimes we let our sheep free range. It's like, oh, wait, we got to go do that real quick. Come back
That's
in,
right.
another story.
100%. I don't think it's two separate things. They just sort of combine and you just go with the flow. That's one thing. I mean, I like my schedule and things like that, but sometimes things just work out and sometimes things don't. And you know what? If we skip a day of sitting down and doing paperwork, then we skip a day and I don't really worry about it. And if you need a Saturday, then we use a Saturday. My husband works out of town. So, I mean, for us, we don't really have too much of a Monday to Friday schedule because he is gone. So, weekends aren't weekends where we catch up on things because he's home. For us, it's very much just go with the flow sort of thing.
Yeah. And as your daughter and son get older too, or all the kiddos, you'll really enjoy, or at least I hope you do, because it's my favorite part, is how much I'm learning. I'm realizing how much I lacked in my education. So reading the history
100%.
books and reading the science books, I'm like, oh, mommy didn't know that,
That's very true. I could imagine coming across certain things again. Even something simple as the alphabet. I thought that would be so easy to just teach my kid. I could just print off a few worksheets and we'll go, draw with a quick dry erase pen on there and we'll learn the alphabet. But there's different ways to teach for sure. We learn with them 100%.
Oh, and I can totally relate. My son's 6, and the other day I was like singing the alphabet and he didn't know it. I was like, oh my gosh, am I failing you?
I failed as a
forgot to
parent.
teach you the ABC song.
100%. I sat there the entire time and friends that send their kids to preschool, those kids are rattling off the alphabet like nobody's business. And I at 5 years old for her, I was like, wow, we haven't even started with the alphabet. I'm sorry.
I was like, well, we'll work on that this year, hon. I'm glad we stumbled upon that one because
yeah, very
you
much.
knew it. Your sisters know it.
Every kid should know it. I didn't know that was my responsibility right now, right then, to teach you this thing. But no, we've got it now, thankfully.
Yeah, so that's just something we have to work through. I think both homesteading and homeschooling, we can't be so hard on ourselves because animals die out of our control.
That's right.
Kids never learn the ABCs. Those kinds of things happen all the time. What do you do for yourself when you're in those kind of moments of, oh my gosh, I'm failing my child? Or do you ever have those moments, or the homestead's not going as planned?
Oh, I think those moments come all the time. I don't know. I'm one of those people. I know there's lots of people, that worry about getting started. My husband actually is. He's very much of a researcher and he has to research and read before he can get started on anything. I'm more of and I don't know if it was because I was raised by parents who are both confident in their work and, we just kind of go. I mean, to think about moving countries I think my parents were about 45 years old, and not speaking the language would be terrifying to me. I don't know if I could ever do that, I mean, I think at their age, they were never taught English in school. That wasn't really, I think for them because they were raised in Eastern Germany with the wall still up. So for them, it was more Russian and stuff like that they were taught. So English wasn't even on the radar. None of us kids really knew it. I mean, we knew, the, hey, how are you? How we sort of learn French in high school a little bit. We know some of the counting and stuff. But I'm not really afraid to jump in. I sort of jump in before and then I learned. So I don't have a lot of moments of doubt, to be honest. I just sort of wing it and I go with the flow, and we just keep on moving. I mean, sure, we all have doubts, but I think I'd rather do this than send off my daughter and be taught, certain things by other people, or sort of have her education in other hands. It's a hard balance to find for sure, but I enjoy it. She enjoys it. So far it's been going okay. So I haven't had big breakdowns of doubt yet. They might still come, but we've only also, like I said, we've only had to handle kindergarten. So those big hurdles might still be in our future.
That's awesome. What about your husband, him being more the researcher planner? How is he with you saying, we're going to homeschool? Does he go with that right from the start? Or?
Did actually. I think he likes the idea. I think for him it's easy because he works out of town. So he is a pipeline welder. So sometimes, like right now, he's going to start a shift, which is 6 days on and 1 off, which is horrible. Because if he's 5 hours away, we're not really sure. Like if he gets off early on a Saturday or something like that, he'll come home. But for him, it's easy to say, hey, let's do this, let's do that, because I'm the one implementing it a lot of the time, which I love too. I mean, sometimes it's nice. My mom loves to be sort of a teacher role too, so she helps me a little bit. But he was very much for it. I think he saw the benefits of it. I don't know if he would be a very good teacher, just because I don't know if his patience level would do it. So I'm thankful that he works so hard, and he works, away, and gives me the opportunity to stay home and to be able to do this with the kids. Because I'm sure for everybody, the world has gotten crazy expensive. So I appreciate him really, he would rather go to work to give me the opportunity to stay home with the kids than not to be home, because he does miss it and he wishes he was more home to raise them. But I think he sees the benefits of having a stay-home mom all the time, with him being gone a little bit more, versus having 2 parents, out of the house for full days that way. So no, he's very encouraging and he wants to make this work. So like I said, I can never thank him enough for being able to do this for us.
Oh, that is beautiful. I can relate. My husband's a commercial fisherman. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So it's similar. I get the being gone. He's actually gone for, at this point, probably 3 to 4 weeks. So
Wow.
he's kind of,
Those are long stretches.
yes,
Those are
not
long
always that
stretches.
long. Sometimes it's 4 days, the boat breaks and he comes home and it's like, oh, sorry, I'm glad you're home. And he's
Don't
done.
apologize to me.
Well, that's why we homeschooled though, because his season finishes September, October, depending on how the
Okay.
season goes. And then he doesn't go back until April. So that
Oh,
whole
wow.
school time, he
Yeah.
would have been gone. And
I
I mean,
know.
I'm sorry, he's gone during the summer. So now during school, he gets to be home with the kids. So it's been a
Okay.
blessing. So I am grateful for that as well.
Absolutely. I mean, when do you pack in? I mean, I'm sure people make it work. I don't want to say, the people that go to school don't have the time for family, but especially out on the acreage, I mean, on the weekends, I feel like you would just play catch up, and it would almost be more stress than relaxing to have a weekend, really. The Saturday, Sunday. I come from shift work. I don't want to call myself a former nurse. Technically, I'm still a nurse, but I'm thinking about giving up that license because life is just too busy and we don't know how to really make it work. Um, but yeah, I couldn't imagine doing all of this and then just having Saturday, Sunday quickly to catch up on things, and then try and get family time in there.
I've done it, was not a big fan. That's why I'm where I'm
No,
at now. So grateful
I
my
could
husband,
imagine.
so hard for us so we can be where we're at. So, all right, can we go ahead and get the kiddos on here? Get Riley
Absolutely.
talking at this point? I
Yeah.
think I'd like to hear what they have to say about if they really like being out with mama, doing the chickens and doing the homeschool. This is
Now the
not
truth comes
fair.
out.
I
Mom makes
want
it
the
sound so
truth.
wonderful. Okay, give me just a few minutes. I'll try and catch her out there, my little feral child.
I'm going to stop this podcast for a second to tell you about Natura Chick Homestead's new digital download games. We have games such as this, where we have our rhyming eggs, and you take the egg and put it into the basket. The child has to read the egg to place it into the correct basket. And then we also have our chicken sight word game where each chicken has a sight word on it. You hide the egg underneath, and the child has to read the sight word chicken in order to look underneath to see if the egg is hidden. So be sure to check out our website, naturachickshomestead.com, where you can download your free printable. And then we also have some digital downloads to purchase.
Hello, Emma. Thank you for coming on and letting me ask you some questions today.
Can you say
Hi. Hi. Well, let's jump right into it. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Like, what's your name? Maybe how old you are?
I'm 6 and my name is Emma.
Yeah, I have a brother who's 6 and I love that name, Emma. That's such a beautiful name. What do you like homeschooling on the homestead? Like, what's your favorite thing with animals and doing school with your mom? What's your favorite thing?
what's your favorite animal?
Horses?
Do you have any horses here though?
No.
No, she's asking about your homestead. What animals we have here at home that are your favorite?
A dog named Charlie.
Really? You have a dog? I have 2 dogs, and let me tell you, they're really crazy. Like the one, she thinks she's a human. She died. Oh, she's crazy. Can you tell me about your dog? How crazy your dog is?
He runs away a lot.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Where does
How big
he
is Charlie?
go?
This tall?
No, how big is he? Is he bigger than you?
Yes.
Do you know what kind of breed he is?
A Pyrenees.
Speak loudly.
A Pyrenees.
Wow, I have chocolate labs, 2 chocolate labs.
Those are pretty.
Now, what about homeschooling? Like, what's your favorite lesson?
Do you like doing letters or numbers?
I kind of like doing letters.
Letters? Yeah. Okay, what do you not like about it?
What do you not like about homeschooling? Do you like sitting at the table?
Nope.
So you don't like sitting at the table and doing exercises?
Nope.
No, hey, you like more playing outside?
Yes.
What's your favorite memory? Like, is there a part about homeschooling on the homestead that you really, really like?
I like doing math.
Yeah, I like doing math too. That's one of my favorite subjects.
Do you like that you can hang out with Jake while we do it?
Yes.
Can you say it loudly?
Yes.
Do you like hanging out with your brother when we do school?
Yes.
I think Emma really likes teaching her brother because she kind of likes being a mama and showing him that she can do all these things.
Oh, yeah. I think Riley could relate to that.
Little mamas in the making, hey?
Yeah.
Do you like helping your mom with the animals, like feeding them?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good. Now, Emma just finished her first year of kindergarten.
Really? You're so big.
Are you excited about next year's
Yes.
first grade?
Big year, hey?
Yes.
What are you excited for most? To learn more?
I kind of like having breaks to see my friend.
Yeah, my social butterfly. You're just there for the play, hey?
Yes.
Do you have a favorite book that you read?
I have one big horse book.
Really? Is it like really big?
Yeah, this tall.
Really? That's a big book. Do you read it or does your mom read it?
I kind of just look at it.
You like
Nice.
the pictures, eh?
Yeah, I like doing that too, looking at the pictures.
Say thank you.
Thank you for coming. Now, one last question, I promise. Do you think other people should homeschool on the homestead?
Do you have fun doing school at home?
Yes.
Do you think others should do it?
Yes.
You think so?
Yes.
Aw. Well, thank you so much, Laura and Emma, for joining us today. We're gonna let everybody hear your story and what you're doing, but where else could they follow you, Laura?
I think I'm most active on Instagram. Oh, here as I'm choking on my own spit. You can find us at Hidden River Acres. We sort of try and share in our stories, our daily life. And as September comes, probably a bit more homeschooling again, too, because we took a big break during the summer because we figured that was best for us, eh?
Yeah.
But other than that, I think we're on Facebook too at Hidden River Acres. And we do also have a webpage at hiddenriveracres.com if you guys want to come and join a little bit. We always love to share lots of our life, eh?
Yes.
Yes.
And I saw on your website you sell your sourdough starter as well.
Yes, we sell our dehydrated sourdough starter because, you know, we're big into that. We love our own bread and everything, carbs. So we do lots of that.
Yes,
And then with our bees adventure, my mom and I have started, you know, rendering down the wax a little bit, and we do the beeswax wraps and stuff like that. And hopefully honey soon, maybe next year, I think more as we get a bit more of a harvest.
oh, that's wonderful. And then do you ship all over or do you stay in Canada for that?
No, so far we've shipped to Canada and the United States, but I think that's as far as we've gone for now.
Okay, well, that's good. I'll be sure to link that in the show notes. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Stephanie. And can you say thank you, Riley, for checking in with you?
Thank you, Riley.
Thank you, Emma. I had a lot of fun talking to you today.